Alright, so the latest film in the Terrifier franchise released in the theaters earlier this month. It's Halloween, so happy Halloween. Here's a Terrifier ranking. Before I get started, please make sure to subscribe, like button, hit the bell, and comment down below what is your ranking of the Terrifier franchise, if you've seen the franchise, or if you even like this franchise. For me, I was introduced with Terrifier 3. I planned on watching the first two before, but I just didn't get around to, so I just kind of went in blind, went into Terrifier 3, and I watched the rest of the franchise after that. Kind of found a new interesting horror franchise. I really did dig this one. Each movie had its own, and while Last Place is probably the less unique movie of the franchise, the whole franchise is just really neat, carried by a fantastic performance by David Howard Thornton. So that is going to be a theme that you're going to hear quite a bit in this video, is how David Howard Thornton is phenomenal as Art the Clown. And with that said, let's get started with my ranking. Last Place, the one that's the less unique out of all of them, going with the original Terrifier. Now again, I do not dislike a single movie in this franchise. I quite enjoyed this franchise as a whole. The problem is this movie just doesn't have enough to sustain an hour and 20-minute runtime. I know, right? It's crazy that I'm saying it doesn't have enough to sustain one of the shortest runtimes in a movie that a movie can have, but it does. And I think a problem that is, you kill off your main character 50 minutes into the movie. Well, not 50 minutes, more like 40 minutes. So we still have 40 minutes left to go. We still have half a movie left to go, and your two main characters that you're following through the majority of the movie are gone. So the rest of the movie is just Art killing, like, some janitor and a couple other guys, and, you know, like this weird mother subplot that made no sense, and the sister, which is Vicky, which is later in the franchise, which is awesome. She's awesome later in the franchise, but I just found it didn't have enough to sustain that. Now, there's great things about this movie. Again, David Howard Thornton, phenomenal in this movie. Still don't really have to talk about that. He is less fun as he is in other ones, but he's still terrifying. The movie builds up tension really well. As a claustrophobic person, there's several scenes where our main characters are just sitting in a building, hiding from the clown, and he's just walking around, and, you know, like any sudden step or any movement or sound, you're screwed. And I really dug that and found that one to be intense and endearing. And so that was a big standout, was that the movie is very, very intense. But there's still plenty of stuff to enjoy this one. I did enjoy watching it. I thought it was a fine enough time. The not chainsaw, but the handsaw kill. I think we've all seen that scene if we're horror fans once in a while, and it's pretty crazy. So again, still great stuff about this movie. It doesn't have enough to sustain an hour and 20 minutes. And after they kill the main characters that we got invested in earlier on, then when you just have them kill random people, a movie like this can get very boring and very dull, where you're just watching Art kill people that you don't care about. And yeah, gruesome ways, but like the movie can just get really boring and really dull if like the characters don't work. That's what makes Terrifier 2 and Terrifier 3 so compelling, is that there's a lore, and that also here. This one is just Art going crazy and killing people, and it can get kind of dull. So still a very solid movie, but it's the worst of the franchise. Number 2, I'm going with Terrifier 2. Now, this is a lot of people's favorite movies, and this kind of has the same issue as the first movie, to where I feel like this movie is a little bit too long. This one for a completely different reason. This is 2 hours and 20 minutes, a whole hour longer than the original movie. I do feel like this one is a little bit too long, where in the end, again, in a movie like this, it can really start to get on your nerves just watching Art the Clown just kill people and go crazy after you're starting to get tired and like, okay, yeah, we've seen stuff like this already happen before in the movie. The thing that elevates this above other ones is there's enough lore here. Sienna Shaw is a fantastic character. Jonathan Shaw, great character. Both of them have great chemistry with each other and with everybody. The cast here is not good. This is a unique movie for one reason only. Because it's a movie with enough lore that's not explained so well. It's got performances that aren't very good, but it's got gore and it's got crazy stuff. This is what I would consider not a great movie. It's not a great movie because the performances and all stuff that are in great movies aren't there. But it's an endearing one. It's very investing. You're very well invested inside this entire movie. And, you know, I think it's because there's enough lore, and again, it's something that you haven't seen before in a horror movie. you haven't seen a movie that is able to get you this invested in the characters and the lore, and, while also like having like a crazy backstory that sometimes doesn't make sense, some performances that are just completely bonkers and stupid, but it works because you haven't seen it before. And also another big thing is this one feels like an event movie, where from the very beginning it's like, okay, yeah, Art the Clown, Miles County Clown, yeah, we know him. And it builds up and builds up and builds up until Halloween night, when Art the Clown goes crazy and starts brutally murdering people. So it just has this build up. It feels like an event, feels like a big movie, and the runtime works in that favor to help it build up and be interesting and allow some things to make this one way more unique than the original Terrifier was and stand out a little bit more. But then when you get to the third act, it has several times where the movie can end and it's just like, she kills Art the Clown, movie's over. No, Art's still alive. And then he kills her. No, she's still alive. She kills him a couple more times. No, Art's still alive. And it does this several times where one of the characters die. And it just turns out they're still alive, keep the movie going. And especially to Art, it happens like 3 or 4 times where you think she finally wins. She kills the clown, and he's still alive, and they fight some more, and there's a lot of blood and a lot of guts. She loses, then she comes back, kills him, he's still alive, and it can get, again, really on your nerves, really quick. And if you just cut out a lot of that ending, I think would be great. If you had him come back once and then die, or at least have him come back once and then do the stuff with Sienna and like the sword and stuff, and then him die, I think that would be interesting. But no, we have Art the Clown coming back several more times, and it got kind of on my nerves. And that's really what makes this one not be my favorite of the franchise. Speaking of favorite of the franchise, number 1, I'm going with Terrifier 3. And this is the one that's definitive to me. First movie I've seen of this franchise, gave it an A+, really loved this movie. I thought it was great. Starting with the positives, it's able to expand on the lore that the second movie gave us, while also like making it more investing and actually making it make a little bit more sense. After watching this movie, it's like, oh, I'm very excited to see the lore in the second movie. And like, it was unique, that's for sure, but a lot of it didn't make sense. And this movie, it kind of evened that out a little bit, made the lore much more investing. Art the Clown, I've heard a lot going into this that he's not as in it as prominent as he was in Terrifier 2, and somehow that's true. But he also has like a little subplot, like Sienna is going through whatever she's going through, and meanwhile we go cut to Art the Clown going to kill somebody. Big positive here, this movie's only 2 hours. Perfect runtime for this movie. I did not get bored. I did not think, oh yeah, just cut this out. Just cut it all out. I thought that it was a great runtime, run really smooth. David Howard Thornton, again, especially in Terrifier 2, I forgot to talk, he is hilarious in that movie. He's hilarious in this movie as well, has plenty of funny scenes. The kills are brutal. Again, forgot to talk about the bedroom scene in Terrifier 2. That was brutal, but there's some kills in this one that are brutal. But I just had a great time with this movie because it's just like a fun movie. And I don't know why I'm saying that about a Terrifier movie, but it's just Art the Clown chilling. Art the Clown is just chilling. He's going off and killing people and chilling out. And Sienna's like, oh no, we're freaking out, until we get to the finale, which is Sienna battling Art the Clown, sword to chainsaw. It's awesome. It is a very awesome movie. Easily my favorite of the franchise by far. Really enjoyed this one. Cannot wait for this one to come to Blu-ray or 4K more specifically, so I can give it a rewatch. I really love this one. So that was my ranking of the Terrifier franchise. I know Halloween is over, but I'm still going to have a bunch more stuff left on the Halloween special coming up, because I want to do a ranking of the X trilogy, and then I want to do a favorite horror movies from every month, every year I was alive. So that's going to be coming out. Those are the last 2 videos of the Halloween special. Make sure you guys join me down below. Tell me what your ranking of the Terrifier movies. With that said, subscribe to Learn Our Army. Peace out.